everyone sitting in this room right now is selfish. I am selfish, you are selfish, and you are selfish. Upon hearing that, we automatically want to bristle at that comment or be insulted because the word selfish has a very negative connotation to it. Biologically, there is a certain amount of selfishness that we all exhibit in order to survive. We seek out and compete for resources like food, water, shelter, companionship. The same concept can also apply to our mental health and our quality of life. As we go through life, we can find ourselves starting to live for other people. It's hard to fill others' cups when we can't fill our own cups. Today, I want to show you why it is a problem that we're not more selective with who and what we invest our time and energy into. I want to show you just a couple of ways that you can fix that for yourself and what it would look like if you implemented those changes and put in the effort to see those changes. Our problem, in a nutshell, is that we just don't take care of ourselves enough first. We need to start being aware that it's okay to make ourselves a priority in our own lives. It's okay to want what we want out of life, and that we need to be our best advocates in life. Doing these things can help us have a more balanced and successful life. When it comes to putting ourselves on the back burner in our lives, there's like two main ways in which we do that are pretty crippling to our quality of life. So the first one that we often do is we find ourselves living on autopilot. Now, living on autopilot, it's bad for us because it can cause us to lose our cognitive sense of awareness. We start to lose our sense of direction in life. We just tend to zone out. We do the same thing every day. We have routines that we fall into, and we just start to live like zombies. Julie Burton, she's a wellness expert and author, and she said that self-care and self-advocacy come from a place of self-awareness and self-understanding. There are dangers to our quality of life if we do not recognize this, because how can we be at our best for other people if we're not at our best for ourselves first? And so speaking of other people, that's where we come to our next issue. So if we don't have positive relationships with ourselves in our life, then we can't expect to have those results with other people. When we don't view ourselves with worthiness and respect, those negative effects can spill out into our relationships with others, into our lives. Psychology Today said that these negative effects, paired with things like low self-esteem, can actually cause us to view other people more negatively and have less satisfaction and optimism in the relationships that we do have with people we care about. So being on autopilot means that we're not being present in our everyday lives. We lose our drive and we lose our voice in our life. When we're more aware of saying no to people and situations that drain our time and energy when they shouldn't be, then we're better able to set boundaries in our life and choose what we decide to accept. Multitasking when we are on autopilot is pretty bad for us. It's easier for us to break tasks down into simple, singular things that we can accomplish, because as we make those achievements, it builds our self-esteem and it builds our self-confidence. We need to remember to strive for connection in life and not perfection. When it comes to building a better relationship with yourself, do not be afraid to make an effort to make time for yourself every day. Even if it upsets other people, you need to realize that you're worth that effort, you're worth that time for yourself. According to a study done by Durham University, spending time by yourself is actually one of the best ways to rest, recuperate, and to learn to enjoy your own company, which is key. So they polled 18,000 people in 143 countries, and they found that 68% of those people actually said that they desire more rest and more time by themselves. So making a small effort to do that in your life can really make a big change for you. So within society, saying no to things that we don't want to do, things we know that aren't good for us, can actually be viewed as dislikable or selfish even. So establishing boundaries with who and what we will tolerate in our life actually helps us to see our own value and understand our own importance. Your self-worth ultimately doesn't depend on what you do for other people, but actually what you can do for yourself first. If you can even find like a small amount of time alone per day for yourself, then it's difficult because we all have commitments in life. We have kids, we work, but the way it actually is that we're not too busy to do anything. We just put our time and our effort into the things that are most important to us. So we just need to remember that we need to be important to ourselves. You can start to see positive effects in your relationships with other people by doing this. You can have a new appreciation for those relationships just because you know what it feels like to be by yourself. You can learn to appreciate their company better by appreciating your own. Solitude can actually bring a new perspective and insight to any issues that you might be facing in your life. You know, we have one body and one mind in this life, and it's important that we realize that we're worth that utmost effort to really give it the best care that we can, even if that does mean being a little selfish every now and then. So in closing, being selfish does have a very negative connotation, but where people go wrong is that they're often too much of the wrong kind of selfish. Now, this kind of selfish is the one that's solely intrinsically based, the kind that finds fulfillment in acquiring material goods. So we need to remember that it's okay to have a good amount of the healthy kind of selfishness in our lives. So when we find ourselves living our life on autopilot, just zoning out, or like we're experiencing distress or dissatisfaction with our relationships in our life, we need to turn to ourselves to look for the answer. While caring for other people is a really fulfilling and important part of our lives as human beings, we need to remember that we also need to afford ourselves that same courtesy, because we can't fill other people's cups if our cup is empty. Thank you.